Samantha, thank you so much for joining us.
Only a pleasure.
Now, as we head towards the end of the year, we know that our matric students are really sort of knee-deep in their examinations, and it's a stressful time because, of course, matric determines really what you can do. I hesitate to say for the rest of your life, but at least for the immediate future. What is your sort of advice off the bat for students who are feeling the pressure of having to perform to decide what they're going to do?
Yeah, as you say, matric can be incredibly pressurizing. And I think every conversation at the moment for these matriculants is, how's the studying going? What are you doing next year? It becomes all-encompassing. And I think to try keep some perspective is helpful for them to remember that this will pass. It's a period in their lives that's incredibly stressful. There's a lot of pressure on them at the moment. But to keep perspective in that in a few weeks' time, this part of their lives is over. To help with the stress, really to find a balance in life, because the exams can become all-encompassing. But you cannot study 24/7. You're going to just be so stressed. It's actually not going to be conducive to learning.
That's very interesting. So burning yourself out by constantly studying actually isn't going to help you learn.
No. If you're going to burn the candle on both ends, you're really not going to get the results you want to do. We're really looking and wanting to encourage balance in life. So it's definitely, there's obviously a focus on the studies at the moment, that makes sense. But it can't be the be-all and end-all 24/7. There needs to be time for socializing, there needs to be time for eating properly, exercising, sleeping, those types of things, because if we lose that balance, stress levels are going to go through the roof, and the impact on the results is really not going to be what they're looking for.
Now, we know that the reality is many students are working incredibly hard to try and get into either a tertiary institution or perhaps a workplace graduate program. And for many South Africans, I think there's probably a lot of pressure from families who either haven't had the opportunities that their children will now have and put quite a lot of pressure on these students to perform. What do you say to the families of matrics?
Yeah, I think you're looking for encouragement. You want to encourage your matriculants in a way that is supportive but not adding to the pressure that they're already feeling. These matriculants are no doubt putting so much pressure on themselves already, and if you have family members that are adding to it, it can only exacerbate things. So it's about showing interest. You want to show interest in their studies, how their exams are going, how's their studying going, what are they thinking about for next year, but in a way that shows interest as opposed to pressure. I think there's quite a fine line, and particularly with families, if perhaps the matriculant is the first person who might have the opportunity to go to tertiary education, there can be a huge amount of pressure. But to rather go with a supportive approach, showing interest and collaborating with them on their plans for the future as well.
Samantha, what do you say to the matriculant who perhaps sits across the table from you and says, I'm completely overwhelmed. I think there's so many things happening in a matriculant's life at the moment. It's exams and, the realization that you're leaving behind an era of your life, perhaps friends, perhaps you're going to move away from family next year. What do you say to that matriculant who is just very overwhelmed at this stage?
When you've got a matric across the room from you who's feeling completely overwhelmed, want to help them focus on what is important right now. Right. At the moment, it's the studies, but like I said, always ensuring that there's that balance. Also want to help them in terms of looking forward into the future, because it can be incredibly daunting having to make this massive life choice. So that could be helping them in terms of finding out information for them, helping explore their interests, their passions, their talents, their skills, really just helping them to gather as much information as possible to help them with this really overwhelming life decision that they're facing in the next few weeks and months that are to come.
It's so true what you say, that these are 17, 18-year-olds who are really making massive life decisions. And I think we all need to recognize that they need as much support as possible.
Absolutely. So that could include things like taking them to open days at colleges and varsities. It could be helping them find work shadow opportunities. It could be helping them look for financing options, bursaries, and finance schemes. So really just coming alongside them so they don't feel so alone.